They act surprised now, like this version of you just popped out of nowhere. Like you suddenly became too bold, too fearless, too damn dangerous. But the truth is, you were always this. Always sharp, always untamed. Always walking with that quiet storm behind your eyes. The only difference is back then, you were trying to fit. Trying to play it soft. Shrink your fire down to a flicker just to keep people warm who were planning to freeze you out anyway. But something snapped. Maybe it was the betrayal. Maybe it was the disrespect. Maybe it was just the exhaustion of playing small for people who couldn't see the full vision. Either way, the mask cracked. The gloves came off. And what rose from that silence wasn't a survivor, it was a problem. Now you move like someone who's done explaining, done waiting, and done bleeding for those who only took pleasure in the pain. They don't know what to do with you now. Because you smile different. You walk different. You speak like every syllable is laced with warning. You don't argue. You don't prove. You just move with intention, with fire, with a soul too seasoned to be shaken by opinions. They don't realize you already buried the weaker version of yourself. The one who cared too much, forgave too fast, and asked for permission to be powerful. That version, gone, dead and documented. Now they call you cold, heartless, detached, just because you stopped breaking for people who never planned to heal you. But you're not cold. You're clear. You're not heartless. You just have boundaries now. You're not detached. You're just finally detached from the lies they fed you about what you deserved. And now, you're not chasing peace, you are the peace that demands chaos to back off. This isn't ego. This is arrival. You didn't wake up dangerous. You were born that way. The world just finally pushed you hard enough to remember who the hell you really are. And now, there's no going back. No dimming, no folding. Just you raw, real, and completely untouchable. They're trying to decode you now, studying your every move like it's some kind of strategy, like maybe there's a formula behind your fire. But what they don't get is you are the formula. You are the equation that doesn't solve the way they want it to. You're unpredictable because you stopped running on approval and started running on truth. Your truth. And that truth doesn't bend, doesn't beg, and damn sure doesn't break. You're not trying to be liked anymore. You're not in rooms hoping to be chosen. You walk in like you already own the room because you finally realized the real ones never needed permission to take up space. You gave up the pretty path for the real one. You let go of the need to be understood in exchange for the power of being undeniable. That's why they watch you now. Not because they support you, but because they can't stop themselves. You're undeniable. You're proof that the underdog doesn't just survive, the underdog learns how to hunt. They wanted to label you the villain, the problem, the one who changed. But you didn't change. You returned. Returned to the raw version of yourself that existed before the trauma, before the betrayal, before the filters. You stripped the illusions off your identity and became the kind of energy that doesn't whisper anymore, it commands. That's what makes them uncomfortable. You stopped asking to be seen and became the spotlight itself. And now you walk with that unspoken heat. That I've been through hell and kept the receipts type of energy. You don't argue with clowns. You don't entertain weak energy. You let your aura do the talking. And if someone can't handle that, good. They were never meant to sit at your table in the first place. You're not here for small talk or soft apologies. You're here for legacy, for impact, for every version of you that ever stayed quiet just to survive. This is the roar after the silence, the rise after the ruin, the fire they tried to dim finally burning at full volume. And if they think you're too much now, tell them they haven't seen anything yet. Because you didn't just wake up dangerous, you were born with that chaos in your blood and that crown in your bones. And now you're just done hiding it. Let them whisper. Let them flinch. Let them pray you fall back into the version of yourself that was easier to control, because that version is gone for good. You've tasted what it feels like to walk in your full force, and you're never putting that armor down again. Not for love, not for peace, not to make anyone else comfortable. Because once you rise from the ashes of your own undoing, you don't go back to being dust. You stay lit, you stay fire. You didn't just level up, you burned the whole damn level to the ground and rebuilt it in your own image. You're here to be palatable, to be tolerated, to be a side character in anyone else's story. You're the storm, the main event, the plot twist they never saw coming but can't stop talking about. And they'll try to act like they're unbothered. But trust me, they feel you now. In their pride, in their ego, in every silent room where your name still echoes. Because that's the thing about power, it doesn't always scream. Sometimes it's the steady walk, the calm eyes, the smile that says, I don't need revenge, I am the consequence. And you are the consequence. For every time they doubted you, for every time they misjudged your silence as weakness, for every time they tried to bury you, not realizing you were a damn seed. You're not back to prove anything. You're not here for redemption. You're here to occupy space unapologetically. The space you always deserved. And if that rattles their bones, let it. You weren't made to be digestible. You were made to be unforgettable. And from now on, that's exactly what you are. So keep walking like the universe owes you interest. Keep speaking like your words rewire atmospheres. Keep moving like you've already won, because deep down you have. They just don't know it yet, but they will. Oh, they will. Because dangerous doesn't mean reckless. It means ready. And you were born ready. You just finally remembered it. Now, every step you take carries the weight of every time you were counted out and the silence of every time you chose not to clap back. You learned that real power doesn't perform. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It just is, and that's you now. Unbothered, moved, unfolded. You don't need a spotlight to shine, because your presence alone commands attention. You walk into rooms like a reckoning, not a request. You stop trying to fix people who were committed to staying broken. You stopped over-explaining your heart to hands that only knew how to drop it. You realized you weren't meant to be understood by those still hiding from their own shadows. So now you walk alone if you have to, but never lonely. Because solitude taught you how to recognize your own roar. And once you hear it, once you own it, there's no crawling back to silence. They'll keep wondering how you did it. How you stayed standing. How you turned pain into power and left the pieces behind without shedding a tear. But the truth is, you had to. It wasn't evolution, it was survival. You didn't get stronger by choice. You got stronger because weakness wasn't working anymore. You got tired of bleeding for people who wouldn't even hand you a bandage. So you stitched your wounds shut with grit and grace, and now your scars wear crowns. So let them think you changed. Let them tell their versions. Meanwhile, you'll be out here turning chaos into currency and pressure into presence. You didn't come this far to explain yourself. You came to own every inch of space they told you wasn't yours. You came to take the microphone away from the noise and speak in thunder. Because you weren't made to play it safe. You weren't built for background roles. You were born dangerous, and now the world has to deal with the aftermath of what happens when someone like you finally stops asking for permission. Like, comment, and subscribe.